What does it mean to take play seriously? For a lot of us, games are something we turn to when we want to relax, or disconnect, or just pass the time. But for today's guests, play is something so much more. It's a way of bringing people together, a way of helping young people learn and create and find belonging. And in some cases, a way of preparing for some of the most difficult moments in healthcare.
When I signed up to major in game design, I didn't really expect I'd get published in a medical journal.
How do we provide access to digital technology, but in a safe, social way?
From Drexel University's Antoinette Westphal College of Media Arts and Design, this is Iterations, a podcast about creativity, design, and the ideas that emerge when disciplines collide. I'm Laurel Hostak-Jones. Today's episode is about games, but not just games as entertainment, games as education, games as connection, games as care.
I'm Erin Truesdell. I grew up in New Hampshire, and I've been in and out of Philadelphia for the last 10 years. I am a Drexel alumna, class of 2019, and I'm now an assistant professor of informatics at the New Jersey Institute of Technology, where I study people, interfaces, and play.
And I am Frank Lee. I am professor in the digital media department. I've been at Drexel since 2003, so that's 23 years.
Frank Lee didn't start in game design. He started in psychology and cognitive science, the study of how the human mind works.
Cognitive science, which was my undergraduate degree from UC Berkeley. Cognitive science is an interdisciplinary studies discipline that combines psychology, computer science, philosophy, linguistics, neuroscience, among many, with the single goal of studying how human cognition works. And I went to get my PhD in psychology to kind of really dig deep down from the psychological side about how human mind works. What attracted me to cognitive science, which is this interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary approach, many disciplines coming together to study a single thing, is what I find and what I love about gaming.
That idea, bringing disciplines together, runs through everything Erin and Frank do, because the problems they're working on aren't simple. They're about health, about behavior, about young people navigating a complicated world. And solving those problems means working across traditional boundaries and disciplines. But before we hear about the work they're doing now, let's rewind to Erin's undergraduate years here at Drexel University, when she signed up for a program called STAR Scholars, Students Tackling Advanced Research, run by Drexel's Pennoni Honors College.
What really did lead me to research was the summer I spent in the STAR Scholars program working under Dr. Lee when I was 19. I had never considered research as a career. I didn't really even think about work in games until then. And all of a sudden, it was like this whole world had been opened up that kind of set me on the path that I'm on today. One of the beautiful things about games research is that you cannot do games research from a single disciplinary standpoint. One of the opportunities that I think we have as creative scholars is we get to work with people from all kinds of backgrounds. When we work on projects like our NIH-funded Life at 100.4 project, our partners are pediatric oncologists and virtual reality professionals.
Life at 100.4 starts with a terrifying reality, a side effect of chemotherapy that can turn deadly fast, and a simple question: how do you prepare someone for an emergency before it happens?
Life at 100.4 is a 4-institution project. We are aiming to use virtual reality as a patient education tool about a very specific dangerous chemotherapy side effect for adolescent and young adult patients, which maybe sounds very dry, but what we're aiming to do is bring 3 people, a healthcare provider, a patient, and that patient's support person, into the same virtual reality space in order to give them kind of a dress rehearsal for how to respond to emergencies that might happen when it comes to chemotherapy treatment.
A dress rehearsal for a crisis. Because in that moment, when something goes wrong, you don't want to be learning for the first time.
And so our goal is really to better prepare them in the case of this emergency so that they can more quickly respond to it, they can more quickly access treatment, and ideally improve their survival odds. And so we're right now just looking at this one specific side effect, febrile neutropenia, but the broader goal of this research is really to establish multi-user co-located virtual reality as a patient education tool and build out a full library of interventions that can be used in hospitals to help educate patients about all kinds of different things.
In another project, Erin worked with neonatal intensive care units on virtual reality interventions to prevent infection in NICU babies.
This was a VR game aimed at helping train parents and guardians of neonatal intensive care unit infants when to wash their hands and use other hand sanitizing behaviors, as well as helping them practice the soft skills to remind other people to wash their hands. NICU babies are very fragile. They don't have the developed, robust immune systems that healthy adults have. And so hand washing is a really big thing. People know how to wash their hands. It's when to wash their hands. And it's giving them also the tools to stand up to doctors, nurses, the grandma who says, you ate dirt and you turned out fine. How do you remind those people? We kind of gamified that. You're taking care of this cute little creature from another dimension, but people are coming in. You've got to take pictures of it with all these props. And so a lot of it's practicing when to participate in hand hygiene and what to say to other people.
Here, technology facilitates a safe environment to practice speaking up amid complex social dynamics, to practice care for the most vulnerable among us, and to practice being human. And then there's the other side of Frank and Erin's work, because at the same time they're designing virtual reality tools for hospitals, they're also turning skyscrapers into game consoles.
It is the biggest Tetris in the world, but beyond that, it will be the biggest video game in the world. This is the Cira Center. It's a beautiful asymmetric glass skyscraper in city Philadelphia. It has LED lights, about 1,400 or so, and we're basically hacking into those lights to create an amazing art/game of Tetris for this week's Philly Tech Week. We put on the interactive game of Pong for Philly Tech Week 2013. That was officially recognized by Guinness Book of World Records as the largest architectural video game display.
If you've ever seen it, a massive game of Tetris or Pong played across the windows of a building, you know it doesn't feel like a typical game. It feels communal.
Giant game on a skyscraper, that's cool and all, but underneath it, if you think about Tetris, for example, when we played Tetris, there were not only the 2 people who were playing Tetris, there were 2,500 people there watching the people play Tetris, but there were also tens of thousands of people across the city of Philadelphia looking up and seeing and recognizing what it was. So for the couple of hours we had that event, almost like a sporting event, right? They were all united together in this, a unique social experience.
For a moment, a city becomes a crowd. A crowd becomes a community. Especially here in Philly, where spectator sports are the ultimate mechanism for bringing people together and creating powerful social connection. But the Skyscraper Games Project goes even deeper than playing together or watching together. Researchers and young people are also creating together.
I was interested in outreach to get young kids more involved and thinking about STEM, especially computing, as a career. So I had funding from Intel to work with local middle school teachers and their kids to then showcase their new games with the Skyscraper in 2019, giving kids the agency to create and to share that creation with other people and have the joy of seeing other people respond happily and positively to their creation. I hope will help ultimately lead them towards that path of choosing that career or approaching technology in a more healthy and more social way.
Erin is also thinking about something deeper. Who gets access to that excitement?
I have a real passion for outreach to rural youth. I grew up in a very small town in western New Hampshire, and one of the things that you often see when you see research-based CS education initiatives is you see papers and they say, this tool worked great. We tested it with 3 classrooms in a school right next to our university. And it's really great for those kids in those 3 classrooms. And a lot of the times what'll happen is that's kind of where that work ends. That's all well and good, but in a town like where I grew up, or in a town like in the rural Midwest, or in other places where maybe there isn't a university next door, those kids are missing out on those opportunities. This year will mark 10 years since my first involvement with the Skyscraper Games Project, which is a little bit surreal. Our initiative now is to build some new platforms so that we know that this works. We know that kids get excited about building games for the Skyscraper. It's an inherently cool thing to do. So with the Fortnite digital twin that we're launching, where you can now play games on the Cira Center from anywhere, that'll be launching next month. And with our new IDE that requires less formal programming education to start creating games, our hope is that we have workshops right now we're running with local kids that we'll be able to expand those nationwide and even worldwide so that anybody anywhere can take advantage of the joy of creating for the Skyscraper.
Joy. It's a word that comes up again and again with these researchers.
I see play as a great vehicle for bringing people together. And I think a lot about what I did for play in kind of the height of the COVID pandemic. I was online with my friends every night because there was really nothing else to do. And that was one of the most important social experiences I had, and one of the things that kind of kept me going during those lockdowns.
During the isolation of the COVID-19 pandemic, play was essential for Erin. And for a lot of us. I can recall my husband looking at me in 2020 and saying, I just can't watch any more TV. So we dusted off our tabletop gaming shelf. We played cooperative games together and got D&D campaigns going over Zoom.
We've all probably played games online. We've used that as an opportunity and formed bonds, made friendships. I know I have had some excellent friendships come out of internet interactions, but I think one of the things that I've really come to value is that real-life world space interaction. And so my alternative controller work, whether it's my game Haberdasher, which is a game played with a gigantic bowler hat meant for 2 people, or my game Trip, is really forcing people to kind of come together and spend time with each other and maybe even get to know each other a little bit better. I often look at that from an academic standpoint, saying, okay, how are people collaborating? How are people interacting? But really part of the goal in creating these artifacts in the first place is to say, how can we bring people together? The anecdote I like to share is this past year, I was at a game festival that I had been to the year previously, and I met a couple who had actually played my game the year before. They played Haberdasher together, and after playing the game together, they had decided to start dating. And they are, as of last check-in, they are now living together. And this was this really great moment where one of them found me in a hotel hallway and said, hey, wait, I played your game last year. I need you to know that this happened. And that was, I think, one of the most joyful moments of my entire game creating career.
But of course, not all digital play leads to connection. Sometimes it leads to isolation, or burnout, or disconnection. So the question becomes, what makes the difference?
The stereotype that people have games might be It's a young person alone in the basement or in their room with their controllers or playing, right? It feels like a very antisocial, very solitary thing. But if you actually go back to the history of games, especially, I kind of grew up with the game industry. The arcade, where the big, tall Pac-Man machines and the old arcade machines were, you would play the game, but there would be 15, 20 people around you, surrounding you, going up and down with your emotions as you are playing and so on, or possibly dissing you in between. I wanted to basically showcase how social game can be. And that really was, in one sense, the motivation of a lot of work that I do.
Any technology, a lot of it is in how you use it. And there's a lot of potential for joy. There's a lot of potential for pain. I think the more we intentionally look to find those points of joy, the more opportunities are out there. We want to see young people also transition from maybe just being consumers of games to being creators themselves, because game development shouldn't be restricted to some elite group of professionally trained people. We all play. We all like to play. We should all be given the opportunity to put something playful in front of others.
Agency, connection, joy. These are outcomes of play, and they're foundations of well-being. In conversations around health, especially with regard to adolescence, there's an important shift happening, away from thinking about health as just the absence of disease, and toward something broader. We're talking less about risk factors, exposures that make you more likely to experience a negative health outcome, and more about protective factors, which are associated with positive health outcomes. They sound pretty simple, but that doesn't mean they're easy to achieve. They're things like belonging, purpose, community. What Frank Lee and Erin Truesdell are building sits right at that intersection, where play becomes practice, where technology becomes connection, where games become care.
People might not realize this, but my career and Erin's career just starting is a very unusual path, a hard path for academic. Academic disciplines are very disciplinary, right? CS people doing CS stuff, digital media people doing digital media stuff. You don't go from medicine to alt control to outreach and so on. The thing that I love about being a university professor, a university faculty, is the freedom that that job or that position gives you to explore your passion and interest in whatever direction that it may go. I started off as a psychology PhD doing hardcore cognitive modeling, cognitive psychology stuff, but then I pivoted doing games because that's what I felt like doing at that time. It was a more circular path than the standard academic sort of promotional path, but I'm very happy that I've done that, and I'm very happy where I am. It's not going to be an easy path for Erin, but hopefully it is going to be just as joyous.
I think a lot of it is in an individual willingness to argue for the value of this work, paired with finding a place that is receptive to that argument of value. A lot of that individual work is just finding those people where you can go to them and say, hey, we want to do this thing that breaks all of these disciplinary boundaries, and find somebody who will say, that's a brilliant idea, go have fun. And I think so much of my career has basically just been locating those people who will sign off on things and support with resources or PR or just institutional structures that they allow for, and saying, yes, this is a good idea. I have been very lucky to have been surrounded by a lot of folks like that, I think, throughout my whole academic career.
I asked Erin and Frank to give you some homework this week. Something small, something playful, something to try.
Play a game you've never played before with someone in your life, in real life, in meat space, as we like to call it. There are interactions that technology can't replicate. nor do I think it should. There's so much value in getting to know people through play and in getting to set time aside for joy. I think it's good for your well-being as a human to take some time to play, but it also can be really great for your relationships.
And if you want to go a little bit further,
I guess I'll offer a similar homework in that go play a game, but go play a game that you love with friends, or if it's a single player game, single player by yourself. And it doesn't matter whether it's a computer game or a board game, but as you're playing, ask yourself almost metacognitively, why am I enjoying this game? What is about this game that is making me sit here, continue for 2-3 hours playing and so on? The most part, people are sitting down and playing games and just enjoying it, which is great. And that's how it should be. But if you're interested in the type of work that Erin and I do, then go maybe a small step further and ask, why is this fun? Why am I enjoying this?
why this game? Why this moment? Why this joy? This has been Iterations. Iterations is created and produced by me, Laurel Hostak-Jones, in partnership with Drexel University's Antoinette Westphal College of Media Arts and Design. Our supervising producer is Brandon Johnson. Production support is generously provided by the Drexel Department of Cinema and Television. Special thanks to Michelle McHugh, Bill McNulty, Karen Kelly, and Joe Marcini.